You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, and today, the dog days of summer, man, they are officially upon us, and Jordan Hicks officially hitting his wall. After looking like the free agency steal of 2024, Hicks has unraveled in his last few starts and is struggling to even get to the fifth inning as of late. Today was no exception. The reliever turned starter surrendered all five of the Blue Jays runs in 5 innings of work. The Giants bats were also pretty lackluster today, not able to muster enough scoring opportunities to really threaten a comeback in this one, as they only had one at-bat with a runner in scoring position all day long. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you tuning in. And make sure to check out The Daily Show with Ben Kaspick for more in-depth coverage. He does a great job. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. The Giants, man, they're losing series against sub-500 teams now. This is something that they did all last month long and just aggravated the hell out of all the Giants fan base. I mean, they had a great opportunity to make a push and get above 500 before this All-Star break. With the loss today, they have solidified their fate heading into the break. They will be below 500 even if they win every single game between now and Sunday. This team will be under 500 entering the All-Star break, and that's just who the Giants kind of are right now. I mean, very inconsistent team all season long. You've gone through different points of the season where the bullpens carried the team, and then the starting pitching has carried the team, and then the offense has carried the team for small bits here and there. But right now, it just seems like this team can't find any sort of rhythm, any sort of consistency. The offense seems to be able to be good for at least 3 runs a game. And that's not nothing. That's better than they were at the beginning of the season for sure. But you got to have a little more than that. You got to have a little more oomph than that offensively, and you got to have some better starting pitching. I mean, they've at least narrowed these margins. They aren't losing games just laughers as much anymore. I mean, today a 5-3 loss. Last night was a bit of the laugher. They did end up bringing it to within 4 with those 2 solo home runs at the end in the 9th inning, but this one kind of had the same feel, like the Giants were down 3+ runs the majority of the game, and they get a 9th inning home run from Mike Yastrzemski to make it look a little better. That's kind of what happened last night too, with the back-to-back home runs, solo home runs in the 9th. Last night made it a 4-point game instead of a 6-point game. So this is the Giants are not playing super great baseball right now. And my hope was after that road trip, which they showed a lot, man. I mean, they played Cleveland really tough. Both the games they lost to them by 1 run, had opportunities to win those games, beat the Braves on the road, beat the Dodgers at home. I thought that this team was starting to put it together, and then they go up against the last place team in the American League East, the 43-50 Toronto Blue Jays, and they lose a series to them. And this is, we said it last night, this is kind of who the Giants are at this point. This team is very inconsistent. The starting staff is all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get day to day from this team. It seems like it's going to be a different guy every day to try and will this team to a win. And today, I mean, the lack of runners on scoring position, the Jordan Hicks just not looking very sharp on the mound. It just wasn't their day today. And we'll get into all of this, but first I want to start with Jordan Hicks. Let's take you through his game today. The first couple innings, he was cruising pretty solidly, and he did give up a first inning run to the Blue Jays with Danny Jansen home run fly to left field, 3-0 lead for the Blue Jays. It was a 2-out home run. We've had a lot of 2-out home runs against the Giants lately. Spencer Horowitz had singled prior. He got on base in this one a lot, and Horowitz did some damage a little bit later as well. But the Giants did get a run back got a couple runs back in the bottom of the first. Elliot Ramos, his 14th bomb of the season, and that swing, man, that did not look like a home run swing. But when you're hitting like this guy is, all-star Elliot Ramos, I mean, guy went down and got that ball, pulled it somehow to left field. It was a low and outside pitch, and that swing was just very off balance, but somehow he managed to go down, get there, put some power into that swing, and lift that one over the left field wall, gives the Giants, brings them within one. It was still a Toronto lead at that point. And then in the fourth inning, Leo Jimenez singles on a ground ball to center field. Davis Schneider scored. Kevin Kiermaier to third. Toronto took a 4-2 lead. And at that point, that just kind of felt like all the Giants were going to be able to do. This game went by pretty quick out there. I was actually able to get out to Oracle Park today. A little bit of a dash to get back to the studio here to get the show going. But then in the fifth, Spencer Horowitz, told you he'd pop back up again. Horowitz launched his fourth home run of the season over into right field. I'm not sure if that one hit the water or not. It kind of looked like it had a chance. I was sitting down in the 100s, so I didn't see where that ball landed, but it did look like it had a chance to hit the water. Not sure if it did or not, but Horowitz got all of that one, 405 feet, 102 miles an hour. And the Giants offensively didn't do anything after that. That was pretty much the end of Hicks's day. After the fifth inning, he was done. He was pulled in this one for Randy Rodriguez. Rodriguez had a really nice outing, by the way. 3 strikeouts, 2.2 innings, and did not have any hits, any runs, any base runners against him. His ERA is now sub-4. Hicks didn't last 5 innings. 4 1/3 pitched for Jordan Hicks. Gave up 8 hits, 5 runs, a walk, only 1 strikeout, and 2 home runs. His ERA is now up to 3.79 and climbing. Meanwhile, we should mention Kevin Gausman, forever Giant, was on the mound across from him, and Gausman pitched a pretty good day. And I mean, this is what Gausman does at Oracle Park. He's the all-time leader in strikeouts per 9 in Oracle Park history, which is there's been some pretty notable pitchers that have come through this park, especially strikeout guys. Tim Lincecum, obviously the first name that comes to mind, and Kevin Gausman had a better strikeout through 9 rate than Timmy when he was a Giant. So again, 7 innings pitched for Gausman. He really held the Giants bats down all day long, scattered 6 hits, only 2 runs, came on that one swing on that Elliot Ramos home run. And for Jordan Hicks, the Giants bullpen really held it down afterwards, but Jordan Hicks had put the Giants in such a hole that they weren't going to be able to climb out of it. And as I said at the top of the show, the Giants, they only got 1 runner past second base or 2 second base in scoring position all game long. And it was with 2 outs. It seemed like the Giants couldn't put runners on base unless they had 2 outs all day long. I mean, they just couldn't come up with those clutch hits. And it seemed like a lot of times they would get the runner on with 2 outs in an inning and then hit a line drive that just didn't seem to just was at somebody. It didn't seem to fall. Those liners, instead of hitting the gaps, were just finding gloves. And that's baseball, man. That's how it goes sometimes. But you hate to see losing series to the Blue Jays, though. I mean, it doesn't excuse the you can't be losing series to teams that are 7 games under 500. When this series started, they were 8 games under 500. So the Giants themselves, 4 games under 500 now. They're 45 and 49 with the loss. And as I said, they're guaranteed a sub 500 record going into the All-Star break. Hicks also he just wasn't himself on the mound today. He was getting the ground balls. He got 7 ground outs to the 2 flyouts. That was a welcome sign, a return to normalcy for him. But he's just not been able to find that splitter lately. And it was so effective for him at the beginning of the season. And now this year, it's really, really fallen off. And for Hicks today, it happened again. He only threw 5 splitters today. He has completely abandoned this pitch. And this was one of the most valuable pitches in baseball. Instead, he was really relying on that sweeper. And he got only 5 swings and misses on that sweeper in 17 swings. So a 29% whiff rate. It's pretty low overall. He only had a 13% whiff rate on the day. That's a lot lower than he's had throughout the majority of his starts. I mean, his sinker couldn't miss any bats. Every single swing connected with the sinker on this one. So Hicks just really didn't have it today, man. And I think that this is all very indicative that he's hitting his wall. We talked about it last time, and I said I didn't want to make the judgment call as to if it was Hicks hitting a wall or Hicks stuff just not playing in the heat in that hot, muggy, down in the South. And I mean, he had a bad outing in St. Louis. He had a bad outing in Atlanta. I thought that this was going to be a return to normalcy for him when he comes back to Oracle Park. Yes, it was a day game out in San Francisco. And it was actually pretty warm for a San Francisco day, but it was not, Atlanta or St. Louis hot, muggy in the summertime in the middle of July. It's not what it was like out there. It was about 80 degrees, maybe high 70s. And it was just a nice day out at Oracle Park. Warm. I'm sure he was sweating out there, but not to the point where he wasn't going to be able to dry his hand off and control that splitter if he tried to throw it. So I don't know why he's abandoning this splitter at this point. It just seems like it's not working for him. Maybe he's not able to tunnel it as well, not able to find the rhythm with that pitch that he was able to find in the beginning of the season. It's just not hitting the spots like it was earlier. And that's really been what's tanked Jordan Hicks as a starter. I mean, this was a pitch that he had thrown earlier in his major league career, but this year was the first year that he had thrown it with any sort of consistency. It was the first time that he'd really used it as a main pitch in his arsenal, and it was his out pitch for a very long time this year. I mean, in overall this season, opponents were hitting just 165 with 33 strikeouts off the splitter. Used the pitch almost 22% of the time. It was his just best pitch at generating swings and misses at a 40% rate. And like I said, last season, he used it just barely over 1% of the time, barely threw it at all. But in these last couple months, in June and July, opponents have hit over 438 with just 4 strikeouts off the sinker in these last 2 months. In April and May, opponents were just hitting 277 with 15 strikeouts on the sinker. And so the sinker has also taken a little bit of a hit as well as the splitter. So, I mean, Jordan Hicks, all of his pitches seem to not be as effective as they were at the beginning of the season. He is well over his career high in innings pitched and total pitches. His previous he's already thrown 1,500 pitches. His previous high, or after today, he's thrown over 1,600. His previous high was just under 1,300 in 2018, back in with St. Louis when he was still a Cardinal. He just hasn't been the same guy now as he was at the beginning of the year. I think with all the arms coming back, the Giants have no choice but to move Hicks to a swingman spot. I think that's what needs to happen at this point. Giants need to find out how to keep this guy's arm fresh, because when he's got a fresh arm, Hicks is one of the best pitchers on this Giant staff. If they want to make a postseason run in September, they need this guy to have a fresh arm, or at least as fresh as can be. I think they need to go to a 6-man rotation with Robbie Ray poised to come back, with Blake Snell just having returned. Kyle Harrison's back. Hopefully we get a Alex Cobb back soon. Hopefully. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Keaton Wynn, but I mean, maybe he goes back down to AAA for a little while, but who knows what's going to happen going forward with this Giants pitching staff. But point being, they got enough arms that they can go to a 6-man rotation, skip a couple starts for Hicks, put him down in the bullpen, and have him kind of teeter back and forth between that high leverage reliever, a long reliever in some spots, and in being a spot starter. So you hate to see the loss today. And you hate to put it squarely on a guy like Hicks, but that's kind of how it went today. The Giants bats didn't do him any favors, as we said. We can get into that later on. Let's do that. In fact, let's take a break here, and on the other side, we'll get into just how bad the Giants bats were today. Jordan Hicks, it wasn't his worst outing. It certainly was not his best, though. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. We're going to take a quick break here. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. On the other side, we're going to be talking about this Giants offense. Just taking the day off, man. Enjoying the nice San Francisco sunshine out there at Oracle Park. Not too concerned with getting runners in scoring position or anything like that, apparently. So stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. We'll be right back. You know that instant confidence boost you get from an outfit that makes you look really good? That's what I get with Stitch Fix. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And they send 5 just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice. You guys know I need that. I keep what works and send back the rest. My stylist always sends just right pieces, and the fit is always on point. It's like they have style ESP. I don't know how they do it, but they just get me. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. I don't like to shop, and they save me that time and effort. Plus, I get outfits that make me look really good and feel just as good as I look. And if you don't love something, just send it back. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Style that makes you look as good as you feel. Now's the best time to get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time only. That's stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of signing up. Offer does not include kids' fixes. Today's show is also sponsored by Tax Network USA. Here on the Locked On Giants postcast, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. Whether it's postseason, the draft, spring training, playoffs, pregame, postgame, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A-plus rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000. Again, that's 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/locked on. And be sure to mention Locked On Giants at checkout and you'll receive a $250 discount off their services. Tax Network USA. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants fall 5-3 to the Blue Jays. It was 5-2 for the majority of this one. Elliot Ramos home run was a 2-run bomb early in this one, was really the only signs of life the Giants had until a Mike Yastrzemski home run in the bottom of the ninth, the solo shot for Yaz, his 8th of the season. When the Giants can't get runners on base, it's a problem, man. And in recent weeks, they've been striking out a lot in games like this. When the offense has sputtered, it's usually been because of a lot of strikeouts. Today, that wasn't the case. The Giants only struck out 4 times, but there were so many guys that went 0 for today. I mean, the entire bottom half of the lineup of Flores, Estrada, Wisely, all 0 for. I mean, not even a walk between those 3 guys. And then Conforto in the 4-hole went 0 for as well. Did not get a walk or on base at all in this one. It was rough sledding out there. 3 of the Giants' strikeouts came from those 4 players as well in today's game. They just couldn't get on base. Giants really couldn't. They couldn't seem to really square up Gausman very well, and he lasted 7 innings. This Blue Jays bullpen isn't very good, but when you have Gausman out there for 7 innings, it does that bullpen a big favor. So it was a tough sledding for the Giants up there. I mean, the strike zone did not look very consistent today. I had a tough time kind of seeing it from my seat out there at Oracle Park. I didn't have my strike zone box as I usually do on my NBC Sports Bay Area broadcast. But in general, looked like some of those pitches were, I mean, both sides. I mean, it looked pretty inconsistent, not great, but when you got a pitcher like Kevin Gausman on the mound, you don't need anything else working against you as a hitter. And Gausman, obviously, I mean, the gas man was one of the best Giants pitchers that we've had here in the post World Series era. And I really wanted this guy to come back and be a Giant for life. Maybe not for life, but at least I thought he had earned a second contract with the Giants. I mean, even when he left, if you remember back to this, I don't think that he really wanted to go. Like the things that Kevin Gausman was saying about how like the Giants didn't really reach out to him and all that doesn't sound great. You know, it doesn't sound like they even tried to make an offer to the guy. I know that they felt like they couldn't offer him what he was worth and what he was probably going to get from other teams, but you got to at least try, right? Anyways, Gausman now a Blue Jay, and I mean, for what it's worth, we got Jordan Hicks, who used to be a Blue Jay, so I mean, kind of swapped one for the other, sorta ish, and not a good swap, man. I wish Gausman was still a Giant. This guy, I know he's had a rough year, 4.5 ERA this season, 7-8 overall with the win today. But he's been a solid pitcher for the Blue Jays in his time there, and he showed you what he's got today against the Giants, against his former squad. And shout out Kevin Gausman. One of the last walk-offs I saw at Oracle Park was a Kevin Gausman sack fly walk-off. So that was pretty fun. But anyways, Gausman today, seven innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. He did give up that 1 home run to Elliot Ramos, and then the Giants did hit a home run later on in this one as well. Mike Yastrzemski got into one, but everything in between there, like I said earlier in the show, the Giants were really unable to generate any kind of momentum on offense, any sort of consistency. Hitting is contagious, man, and so are ground outs and flyouts, because this Giants team couldn't really, it was some bad luck today. They didn't really square up much. They weren't really hitting balls all that hard. Soler had one of the hardest hit balls of the day as he smashed one off the left field wall, but it resulted in a single because it hit the wall so hard and went right over the left fielder's head, gave him the shortest path to fielding that ball. And several other Giants line drives with 2 outs today just found gloves, man. And so sometimes that's just how it goes. I think that it's a good sign that the Giants weren't up there just swinging and missing all the time today. They only had 4 strikeouts, which against Gausman I think is a pretty decent number. It's a shame that they couldn't get him out of the game earlier, though. I would have liked to see the Giants draw some walks today. They drew exactly 0 walks, and when you're facing a pitcher like Gausman, who's trying to work for the strikeout, you know that's what he's trying to do. He's going to nibble a little bit, and you know you're not going to be able to really square much up against him. And you know how bad this bullpen is. Like, I don't understand why the Giants just didn't try to sit there and grind out at bats. This is something that this team has actually been really, really, really good at all season long. No Lamont Wade Jr. He's day to day with an injury, which is not great. I think that that's a sign that they brought him back a little too early from that hamstring injury. And it's rough when you have guys like that out. That's like the number one at bat grinder is Lamont Wade Jr. He's going to make the opposing pitcher throw at least like 5-6 pitches each at bat. And today you don't have that guy in the lineup, and that kind of hurts you. As we just said, hitting's contagious. These kinds of approaches to an at bat kind of set the tone. It makes other guys in the lineup get involved in trying to work and make this pitcher throw pitches, and you get a little competition going with the guy. Oh, I saw 8 of them. Well, I saw 9 of them in the dugout and all that. And it just, they didn't have any of that going today, man. They couldn't get on base. Matt Chapman did steal a base in this one. That was should have just been granted a whole run for that one. Since they're so bad at stealing bases, they should probably just get a free run every time they steal bases. I'm of course kidding, but that if you're going to look for one sign, at least they tried to steal a damn base today, and it worked out. So that's one thing they did offensively, trying to generate offense in a game where they just really couldn't get much going. But you need base runners, point blank. They just need more base runners. And these hits today, I mean, didn't really get it done. Mike Yastrzemski got 2 hits, and Pat Bailey got 2 hits in this one. Those are the only Giants with multiple hits in this game. Soler, Ramos, Chapman, those guys all picked up a hit each too, but it just wasn't enough. Ramos, obviously, he contributed, what he needed to. He scored 2 runs for the Giants with that home run. He's now hitting 300, that OPS 909. Dude is an all-star, and deservedly so. This is who he is. He's not going to regress, but you got to put other pieces around him. Conforto had been red hot coming into today and just fell off the planet. Chapman, he did get a hit today. Yastrzemski, couple hits, but Flores, man, Wilmer's been so bad all season long. He's batting barely over 200, batting 203 with an OPS of 586. That's gross. Jorge Soler, for reference, who we've all dunked on all season long, his OPS 698. So for as bad as you think Jorge Soler has been, Wilmer has been exponentially just terrible at the plate. And obviously, he's not a guy who gives you a lot in the field. So this is a problem, man. All these Giants role players aren't really playing very big roles lately. And obviously Austin Slater DFA'd or was traded, excuse me. So Austin Slater, the longest tenured Giant, gone. You're Nick Ahmed DFA'd. Like you're missing some key contributors to this team, guys that had moments earlier in the season. Like Nick Ahmed had a lot of good defensive plays for the Giants, which is a team that has a lot of ground balls. They generate a lot of ground balls with this pitching staff. Think you probably have a spot for a Gold Glove shortstop out there when you're trotting out Wisely and Fitzgerald as your everyday shortstops now, who are utility guys. But that move is still beyond me. I don't know why Nick Ahmed was DFA'd over a guy like Luke Jackson. But man, this lineup, you got to have your role players contribute. Like sometimes, like maybe not every guy's going to hit every game, but when you have Flores, Estrada, Wisely, Conforto all going over, and you have 0 walks as a team, it's gonna be hard to find wins that way, especially in the middle of the summer when your pitching staff is limited and dealing with all sorts of injuries, and you got Jordan Hicks on the hill, who is like his arm is tired. Like that guy's been throwing more innings than he ever has in his life, and you got to help him out somehow. You got to pick him up some way. The Giants offense failed to do that today. Again, he did a good job limiting the strikeouts, but no walks, and you couldn't force Kevin Gausman to throw pitches. I mean, that's not a way to win a game. It's just not. Gausman, 98 pitches through his 7 innings of work. Yesterday, they were able to get Chris Bassett up over 60-70 pitches in their first 2 innings. I think they got to. I don't think this is what's happening. I don't think that this is going to be what continues to happen going forward. I think that the Giants offense is going to continue to grind pitchers down. They'll see a lot of at-bats. They'll see a lot of pitches. And usually they're good at getting guys out by like the 5th, 6th inning. And I feel like if you had even one more inning against the Blue Jays bullpen in this one, you would have given yourself a much better shot at coming back to win this game. That's not what happened. Giants lose 5-3 to the Blue Jays. They're now 45-49 and guaranteed to be sub 500 at the All-Star break. Let's take a quick break down more from this game on the other side. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. This is the Locked On Giants postcast. We'll be right back. This episode of the Locked On Giants postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. Oracle Park is the best stadium in all of baseball. You guys already know that, but sometimes you got to check out some other parks to remind ourselves of how perfect the Giants home field really is. Coors Field in Denver is nice this time of year, and so is Petco down in San Diego. Venture to Dodger Stadium at your own risk, but all these cities have something fun to do in the summertime. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the booking site, or in the Booking.com app. And today's show is also sponsored by Game Time. Game Time makes getting MLB tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA, MLB tickets, NHL, concert tickets, whatever you're trying to go see. Go to Game Time. I love the last minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into. Zone deals are pretty sweet too. If you know you want to go see the Giants and you know you want to sit in a specific part of the yard, maybe up on the right field wall, maybe out in the left field bleachers, maybe club section, you just choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats, save even more money. And of course, you got to love the all-in pricing. Make sure to toggle this feature on to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. I hate surprise fees almost as much as I hate the Giants losing series to sub 500 teams. So this sounds pretty good to me. At least we can get one of these two things going in our lives. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants fall 5-3 to the Toronto Blue Jays and drop the series 2-1. They got one more series ahead of the All-Star break. It is against the Minnesota Twins, who are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. And they got a young, sensational rookie, Brooks Lee. This kid has been on my radar since he was literally a freshman in high school. When I was in college at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, this kid is actually the head coach or the son of the head coach at Cal Poly. And he was a monster since he was in like Little League. This kid has been on everybody in baseball's radar for a very long time. I mean, his dad, Larry Lee, also known as Larry Legend in the college baseball ranks, has produced about 30 pros in his time at Cal Poly. So no surprise that his kid becomes, one of the best rookies who's been called up this year. In this last week and a half that he's been up, dude has done, he's just been mashing balls, like hitting home runs, extra base hits left and right. And the Giants are going to get a nice look at Brooks Lee in this series. And that's a guy you got to look out for. But this whole Twins team, I should say, is great so far this season. You got Joe Ryan pitching in the first game of this series, and Joe Ryan, the Marine kid, the kid from the Bay Area, big deadhead too. I mean, love the vibes from Joe Ryan. Just wish he wasn't pitching against the Giants tomorrow because he's a pretty damn good pitcher on the mound. And with the Giants offense kind of sputtering today, they're going to have their work cut out for him to climb the mountain back again tomorrow and see if they can generate some fire on that mountain. All you deadheads out there know what I'm talking about. So Joe Ryan out there for the Giants. They'll look to see what they can do against him tomorrow, but it's going to be tough sledding. You got to just, here's another dead reference, got to just keep on trucking, man. And hopefully they can get a win in this Twin series. I really hope they don't get swept, but it is, I think, on the table. You got a team, the Giants, that have dropped their last two series. They're kind of limping into the All-Star break, sub 500, and you got a team that's just rolling right now with a great pitching staff and a gritty offense. I mean, they're up in Minnesota, so we don't hear as much about the Twins as we do some. I think they're kind of a lot like the Guardians, honestly. Like, both these teams are really good. We could be seeing both of these teams in the American League Championship Series later this year, but I don't know. I don't know why they're not getting more love nationally, but they deserve it. Both of those teams, the Guardians and the Twins, really, really good teams this year. The Giants really do have their work cut out for them going forward. So it'll be a tough test for the Giants against the Twins heading into the All-Star break. Kyle Harrison gets the start tomorrow. Here's how it's going to go for the Giants until the All-Star break. Tomorrow you get Kyle Harrison. Then on Saturday you get Hayden Birdsong. Then on Sunday you get Blake Snell. So the Giants got 3 more games before the break, 4 games under 500. So obviously math says, I'm not very smart, but math says they can't get there, even if all 3 of these guys win their outings. But we do have a lot to look for with all 3 of these guys. Harrison, Birdsong, 2 really young prospects that have a lot to build on going forward. And Snell, obviously, I mean, that's just a whole nother basket of worms there. But I mean, dude has just been terrible up until his last start where he was dominant. So hopefully, we've seen 2 different Blake Snells this year so far for the Giants. I hope we get the second one that we saw on Sunday, and I hope that he can take that momentum, roll it into the All-Star break, and we can build on that for the second half, build a playoff push, and get the Giants back to where they need to be. Because this organization, man, it's every time that they start to make you believe, every time they start to make you want to come back to games and buy those $16 beers, they do something like they did today, and they drop a series to a sub 500 team that they should really be beating. Giants drop this one 5-3 to the Blue Jays. Jordan Hicks looked bad against his former team, gave up all 5 of those runs. The Giants offense, only 1 runner in scoring position all day long. Thoroughly beat. They just got thoroughly beat by the Blue Jays today. Same thing that happened yesterday. So hate to see that in back-to-back games against a sub 500 team. The season continues tomorrow. We'll be coming to you live tomorrow after that game concludes on the Locked On Giants postcast. So make sure you tune in, subscribe to the channel so you get those notifications if you aren't already subscribed. And we'll be bringing to you post games live after every single Giants game for the rest of the year, unless we end up going to like another Blink-182 concert or something. That was pretty fun, man. I wish we had more time to kind of like get into those things on the peripheries, but 30-minute show. Got to keep it tight, man. And that's about all the time we have for you today. So tune in tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.